So once when I was 8, as a little boy usually doesn't like to do, I wasn't very fond of taking showers. My mom hated it. She's a very clean lady. She hates when I don't do my room, when I don't pick up after myself. So being an 8-year-old who doesn't like showers, naturally I threw a fit every time she told me to get in the shower and get cleaned up because I had to go to school and be a clean person. So being not fond of it, I reluctantly got into the shower and then started doing like my hair, like shampooing, and then like soaking up my body, whatever, but you don't really do in a shower. So as I'm showering, I feel something crawling on the back of my leg, and I start wondering what it could be. So me, being a curious 8-year-old, I look down and I see this big old black widow crawling up the back of my leg, and I scream like a 5-year-old girl. And so that made me even less likely to take future showers. I was traumatized for like a week because I had just learned like a month before that black widows were poisonous and had the potential to kill you. So yeah. So today I'm going to be talking about spiders. I know it's not the most popular subject out there, but it's what it's what I enjoy talking about, even though I'm also somewhat terrified of them. But I just find them fascinating, and ever since that one lesson in elementary school where we learned about insects and what's an insect and what isn't, and arachnids, I've always made it a point to like learn what I could. Whenever I heard of a new spider, I wanted to look it up, research it. Whenever I heard of death statistics, I would always like look at, okay, what does this spider, what's the lethality of it? Why is it so lethal? So, or what is it, if it's not lethal, why is it not lethal? So so today I'm going to be explaining to you the anatomy of a spider. I'm also going to be educating you on some local species to the Southern California area, and I will also be talking about the incorporation of spider silk in commercial use and its rigorous properties and strength. So spiders, the definition of a spider is an 8-legged or predatory arachnid with fused head and thorax with attached abdomen. So I'm just going to show you a rough outline of the body of a spider. So here's the body. So we have the pedipalp, which is the two little things, mini legs I would call it, in front attached to its head, which kind of act like its arms to hold its food in place. And then you have the fangs, which inject its venom, the chelicera, which is like the muscle for the mouth, and then we have the eyes, and then the cephalothorax, and then the top portion of the cephalothorax is the carapace, and that is separate from the head, even though they are fused together. And then we have the abdomen, which is where most of like the coloration of the spider is, and also the legs, which has most of the coloration as well. And then at the bottom we have the spinnerets, which is where the silk is woven and how they use and how a main part of how they build their web. And then we have at the very end of the legs little claws which help them grab onto their webs and actually pull out strands from their spinnerets. So an arachnid has a hard shell, but it's mostly a hard shell, and the abdomen is the only really soft spot on the body. So it's the more vulnerable spot of the spider. Oh, let me actually go back to that. So would be the most vulnerable spot. The legs, even though they're shelled, they're still fragile. So the spiders they're more likely to protect their abdomen, but if they lose a leg, it doesn't grow back since it is shelled. And this is the general anatomy of all spiders, domestic, foreign, and the local species as well. So for our more arachnophobic speakers, there's going to be a slide with photos of actual spiders. They're all on one slide to try and keep it short, so I can just flip to the next one as soon as I can. So our local spiders, our most common local spiders are the black widow, our tarantulas, which are mostly in the mountainside and the deserts. It's one of the rarer ones, but we do have some brown recluses. The desert brown recluse, which is in the west, isn't poisonous compared to their eastern and South American siblings. And we also have the house spider, which is common worldwide, and we have the golden orb weavers, or the garden spiders, which create the larger webs. So here are the spiders. In the upper left, we have the black widow. This is actually a female. Female black widows are the only ones that turn jet black and have the red hourglass or red spots on their abdomen. Males are normally smaller. They only get about like 1/4 of an inch in size or in length. And when I say length, I mean the size of their body, not just their legs. Male black widows, they tend to keep in their adolescent stage, they have stripes on their legs. So they have white and gold, and not gold, orange and red, like stripes. So in their adult stage as males, they're still small and they still have those stripes, but they have a darker color to them, and they do have some red spots. The female, when she turns into an adult, she becomes jet black, and then she gains the big red abdomen on the bottom. That is so iconic with black widow spiders. And with black widows, only the females are venomous, because that is actually just due to their size. All spiders are venomous to a certain extent, but the black widow is dangerous to humans because of its size. It can get to about 5/8 of an inch. And because of that, they can actually penetrate with their fangs all layers of the skin, which is what introduces the venom into our system. But the black widow in general does not kill healthy, full-grown adults. It is only dangerous to the younger kids, up to about puberty, normally. And these images are courtesy of the National History Museum for the Los Angeles County, just so you know where I'm getting this from. And next is the tarantula. So the tarantula, they like to stick to the mountains, like the Glendora Mountain Range or the canyon over by the 57. So and the hillsides, they're nocturnal, and they normally start to come out in the fall, in late fall or early summer. And while not dangerous to humans in terms of lethality, their bites do hurt because of their large fangs, and their size is rather scary. And they have hairs on their bodies that irritate humans. And then we have our brown recluse, which is normally in the desert, rarely in the LA Basin or in Orange County. They aren't poisonous, as I said earlier, compared to their eastern and South American siblings. But the South American and eastern siblings can be introduced or brought over, rarely, by tourists, and their bites, their venom creates a necrotic property. So if you're bitten, you can get necrosis in certain at the site of where you were bitten, which would need surgery to be corrected. And then we have the golden orb weavers, or our garden spiders, which create the big intricate web that you see in gardens, or are more common to run into in the middle of the night, which is never a pleasant feeling. And then this, you can't see it that well, but it's actually a scene from Spider-Man where he stops the train with his with his webs that he shoots from his hands. The students and a professor, the Professor Randy Lewis at Utah State University, they actually did the calculations, and they found that with the spider silk, this could actually be possible if it's given, ignoring the fact that if he actually attempted this, his human body would have been ripped to shreds. There's about 10 strands of his web, each about half an inch in thickness and diameter, and they calculated the speed that the train appears to be moving, and then the weight of each person, the average weight of a person in New York and the average amount of people on a subway, and then they calculated that if this is actually plausible, like a spider silk of this degree can actually stop a moving train. Okay, thank you. So spider silk is mostly a protein, yet it's 5 times stronger than steel and about 3 times stronger than Kevlar. So they're used, and it also has antimicrobial properties, which means it's sterile in a sense. So they're looking into incorporating uses of it for medical gauze, so to keep to keep wounds covered, and then Kevlar for military purposes and home invasion purposes as well. And they're using the cables to they're trying to create spider silk cables to for architecture and engineering and the like. And so while not being the most popular topic, it's also a very interesting topic, and spiders are more than just the last thing you want to see when you're in the shower cleaning yourself. So although they're the last thing you want to see, they have potential in the future of human engineering, and they're not the monsters that people like to perceive them as. Thank you.
So, Devin, what did you think? Devin, you're invisible today, huh? All right, so we cut out Devin, and we'll just hear from me. Luis, I like the idea of the introduction. It needs to go faster. You're taking too long to get through it. You don't even get to your topic until 2 minutes into the speech, so you're 25% done before you even get to the point that you're going to be talking about. Your purpose statement needs to be a lot more focused. All I know is the subject is spiders, but you're all over the place, because sometimes you're spending a lot of time talking about the Black Widow, and then you're talking about the other spiders, and then you've got this last section, which I think might have been the more interesting section to work on, the use of spider webs and all that kind of stuff, the silk that they produce and that kind of thing. That, I think, probably should have been the speech. Yeah. That's if you took all the other stuff, condensed it into just an introductory background material and talked about that, I think you'd have an interesting topic that you could develop a lot of information on, and it would be something that people would be intrigued by. As it is, it feels a lot like you're just wandering on the subject of spiders. And I know the subject is interesting, and it does bring up the creep factor at the beginning, like I said, but that story needs to go faster. Yeah. And you just need to have more control over the content. The one source citation that you gave us was for the images, and I know that there's a lot of research that you did.
I saw the time come up, I was like, oh shoot, I still haven't even.
Yeah, it's just, so it's, I think there's just, you needed to have more control of the speech, you needed to practice it more. I mentioned it before, the elephant in the room. This is almost 12 minutes, so it's basically 50% longer than it's supposed to be. And I don't like cutting people off, but I was about to do just that. I could tell that you were closer to the end right there, so I held off a little bit. But I think we're going to be okay in getting people in today, but it would be a problem in other circumstances. And I know in some classes they would be ripping you a new one on that. The speech, you failed because the speech is supposed to be 8 minutes. It wasn't 8 minutes, it was 12 minutes. Sorry. I'm not quite that sharp about it, but I do think that it's important that you be aware, and I know that you went over. And the problem is, I think that you probably put together a whole bunch of material and you didn't run through it and practice it as much as you needed to. So you think, well, I've got this, that should fit in the amount of time. And it's just not going to. You spend all this time going through the structure of the spider, and there's a lot of detail on that, and that takes up a huge amount of time, and that's not really even the focus of your speech. So you need to make a clear decision at the beginning about what it is that you want to say about the spiders, and then you need to edit and practice, and those would be the things that I would give you the most advice on right here. All right.